Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Or afternoon if you live in Central or East Coast.
Yeah.
Or
somewhere
else in the world.
Somewhere
different
else.
time zone.
Good 2 a.m. somewhere in the world.
So thank you guys for joining us. We are lucky enough to have Dom at the table. He's manning the chat for us, and it's always good to have him here and a part of everything. Unfortunately, Ben couldn't join us. He is not feeling well. I think he ate one too many hearts, which is one of those things that, we've been talking to him about it. We've tried desperately to get him to stop. It's a problem. So we will do our best to get him into a clinic or something at some point. But he will hopefully be here next time. So today we're talking about Black Bag. We are starting a new season on June 16th, and the new season, I'm really excited about it because I've been doing just a ton of reading and a ton of research and all this different things about what I want to go into the next season. But honestly, and I think the players can attest to this, as much planning as we do, we also have fun with what chat adds to the situation and how the game changes. I never write out a script of what's going on. It's not reality TV where it's just kind of us faking improv. We actually have to react to what you guys want to see and hear as well, and that makes it more fun for us. The storyline is relatively big for Black Bag because everything's kind of interconnected. Even the single shot games that I do connect back to the storyline somehow. And so that is one of those things that we really enjoy. So before we jump into questions and stuff, why don't we talk about go around the table, introduce ourselves and what character we're currently playing, and even what character we played in the first 3 seasons of Black Bag, which was the Cyberpunk game. Just to kind of touch on that a little bit. For those of you who have not seen those, they're on YouTube and they're definitely worth it to check out. So we'll start with you, and we'll just go this way.
All right. Well, my name is Megan Capes. And
now you're new here, right? You're
never
never
been
on
here
the
before.
show.
I'm not even really sure what's going on.
Never heard of you.
Never heard.
There's things happening over here. I don't know who you people are. So starting out, I started with, in our Cyberpunk game, Josie. And she was, going back to Josie, she was a hacker, essentially. And she had this whole thing. She was a journalist. She was kind of a slob. I don't know. She caused this big problem because she was ambitious and got all these people killed.
And she had an Adderall problem.
And she had
Just a
a
small, tiny one.
Adderall problem. And then for a short time, I had Evie, and Evie was an archaeologist, basically. And thanks, Texas Devin. Totally. And she was a nerd. She was kind of super excited about this thing she had discovered, for better or worse. And then I've got Birna now in our Vikings game, and she's a kind of an arrogant warrior. She's all about the glory, and she's good at what she does. She has a big shadow of her mother's to live in, as far as her mother's warrior ability too. So she's got a chip on her shoulder about that a little bit, I think. But yeah.
Cool. So I think I called you Nick for about 3 games into Black Bag's Vikings, even though your character had changed.
Yes, because
I was so used to.
I
being
played Nick in our Cyberpunk Cthulhu game, David Nick Bancroft, and he was a con man who didn't really trust many people and was super confident in his ability to talk himself out of any situation. And it was he of the Asphalt Chaps as well. I see you guys remember. Nope. Christian Lindke chaps with an ass are not called pants. They are called Asphalt Chaps. You can look that up. He had incontinence issues when he got sanity loss And that was thanks to the Elder Gods in chat. And then he ended up not necessarily dying, but he's forever falling through a void in time and space with Grace,
Yep.
who is the weird creation who had a crush on him. And then in our current Vikings game, I play Grimir, who is the adopted son
The loper.
of the Jarl. I putter.
You butter.
He is a somewhat deformed weakling who has mystical visions, and he aspires to be a Gandalf. He wants to be a Gandalf.
A Gandalf, yes. Just real quick before we go on, they mentioned Nick. Nick plays. Why am I blanking? It's
No,
early.
you're saying Nick, the character.
Nick. Well,
Nick
Nick,
character.
though,
Nick
our
Levy,
Nick,
Sungrowler.
Nick the Sungrowler, he also plays. Why am I blanking on this character's name? It's
Braggy.
Braggy,
Or
and
Broggy.
Broggy, and I put Nick on. Nick will come in and play when somebody is missing, but his character has kind of become this really cool addition to the game as well. And so I just wanted to mention him, while we're talking about the characters. Talim plays the nun that was kidnapped as well, and we have a lot of fun when they are able to come on. I put Broggy or Nick on the spot and had him do a poem, and he did really, really well. I mean, just knocked it out of the park, because Nick reads constantly, and so I knew that just his knowledge of reading and everything else would translate to be put on the spot and all that good stuff. So we always enjoy having them on the show. So go ahead and take it away.
I'm Michelle, and my character the first 3 seasons was Stephanie. And Stephanie was someone who had grown up with older brothers and had to fight her way through a lot of stuff. She was part of a hack cell and trying to infiltrate the evil corporations that were taking over under President Chase, right? She ended up on the verge of death and passing out, and that's where it was left. So we don't know whether she died or not. Possibly. Probably.
Maybe everything was a dream.
It might have all been a dream.
Except I absolutely hate that when
know.
it's all a
That
dream
is how
at
we
the
ended
end.
it, though. You ended it with the exact same way that Stephanie had been woken up that morning. So, like,
Right, it was kind of,
Maybe
yeah.
it was.
Maybe it was.
even though that's pretty
Probably
much
not.
confirmation that it was.
It was not a dream.
And then with Black Bag Vikings, I am playing Ingfield, who is an older Viking. She is a warrior, and her daughter, Birna, always lives in her shadow, and Ingfield never lets her forget that. She is always, in her mind, helping Birna get better at fighting. But in Birna's mind, she's always being criticized. Okay, but she's, her daughter will never quite live up to her standards as a warrior. But in general, they get along. They just, but she's seen a lot. She's done a lot. So she's a very formidable fighter, and we'll see what else comes from her this coming season.
And I think, and who are you? What character do you play?
Excuse me, sir. Who are you?
What are you doing?
Why are you here?
Well, you all know me, but I do want to say welcome again to Patreon Fireside Chats. Before it was just me doing these things, and now we're trying to expand them for Patreon backers. That's you guys, and we'll get into some more Patreon and behind the scenes kind of stuff once we finish the talk here. So stick around for that stuff. But yeah, welcome to this, and we're going to be doing more of these in the future. So these are designed to, hopefully help you guys get involved with these shows and be able to talk back to all the players and the GMs and ask questions and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so welcome and strap in.
Yeah, strap in.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, no, it's woohoo.
Birna's always cool to cut off rivals' limbs, I guess. Kira.
Also, just real quick, is he wasn't able to be here because of his horrible heart-eating addiction. Ben has played, Terry was his first one,
Yep.
right? Then the PTSD guy, which I'm blanking on.
Thad.
Thad, okay, so as you guys know, and this isn't going to be something that we're going to do in the future because we're changing things around a little bit. But every player has an individual thing that that you can donate to make happen. Well, Ben thought it would be a good idea to give Thad PTSD. It was not a good thing because every time it got hit, it was always during a critical time. It's like they were trying to stake something out, they were trying to be quiet, and then suddenly he was
Murdering an old man.
murdering an old man because he thought he was in the English World War III with England or
Right,
something.
I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
The war
World
with
War
England.
III with England.
yeah.
And so I would say that Ben's character, Magnus, which is his Vikings character, again, kind of, Ben really has this thing where he kind of makes these characters that really go off the deep end. He's eating hearts. He can change.
He's a berserker.
He's a berserker that
He's
takes
a
this
werebear.
weird,
Wherever.
this weird concoction to berserk. He's a werebear, and then he became a
Fish bear.
and so Ben's characters are definitely a lot of fun to watch, kind of just explode in different ways.
Sometimes literally.
But the PTSD thing, that was a bit far. It was so.
Yeah, that one was, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of nuts. So, and then I can almost read that.
The Naked
even
Bear
with
Wrestler.
that, the Naked Bear Wrestler.
Berserker.
Berserker.
Berserker. Yeah, I think Texas Devon, that's the best one, Berserker.
So you guys can stop trying now because Texas Devon did the best.
Yeah, that's.
That's it.
I'm
Berserker.
sorry, Berserker.
Yeah.
We're going with it.
What was it? My love is like a clock. Whatever from the Clerks. So
Werefish bear.
Al Gore after Werefish Bear.
yeah. So let's talk about, and if you guys have questions, ask away, and we will answer as best we can. What do you guys feel like with the story arc where it came at the end of last season of Black Bag Vikings? You guys had beat the fish people off the island that you were on. You had found a library, just to kind of recap. And you had beat the cultists that were there. I'm just curious on what do you think your characters would have done immediately after that? Do you think you would have stayed on the island? Do you think you would have separated? How do you see your characters kind of evolving from that point?
Well, I feel like we got rid of all, like you said, the fish people.
The
and
fish
everything.
people, yeah.
And I guess I remember we had looked at the town itself sort of as a defensible point.
Right.
But I think, at least against those things, but I think since seemingly we got rid of them, then, I mean, our whole goal, yours is to find knowledge, but ours really was to bring back money or bring back,
yeah. I think
glory.
staying on the island wasn't an option.
Right.
I think it was, it's not like, oh, we're going to start our own society now. I mean,
Right.
we had to get back to Stavanger and with stuff, because they're
To start rebuilding.
to start rebuilding, and they're not expecting us to like come back empty-handed because we're warriors and we've always come back with treasure and all this stuff. So, so we would have to come back with something,
Yeah.
Well, and I also think like the way that it was set up, you guys finished mid-spring, because you remember that the snow was melting and
Right.
the boats were coming to attack the village. And for those of you who don't remember, one of the big things that happened, I think, the second show was all of the, the Vikings attacking and the city burning, and you guys won the battle, but at a great cost. Like, it cost you a lot of things. The burnt down a lot of buildings and cost a lot of people. The Jarl died. And so I think that from my point of view, when you guys went out and you found this island, you're right, it was a good kind of waypoint, but it wasn't what you were necessarily working for.
Right. I mean, it makes sense that we might even try and go beyond it to another place to find more treasure or whatever to take back.
Yeah.
Although we don't have a boat, so somebody has to build us
I'm
a
sure
boat.
we can build boats. Magnus can build
Right, he
boats.
can
He
build
is a
us a boat.
shipwright, as
He
he
is
is
a
fond of reminding us.
Yes.
That's a question from DJ Regular, it looks like.
Okay.
So he's asking, he wants to hear from the PCs and the GM how they felt about the difference in how we approached taking physically risky actions in Vikings versus in the cyberpunk seasons.
Wow, that's a huge
mean,
difference.
Yeah.
I've made huge. My character is super competent in fighting with her sword.
Yeah.
Josie and Evie, I mean, I think both of them could kind of use a gun. I mean, really, Josie's weapon of choice was a car by the end of it. So, I mean,
Well, and the difference
was on
was you
accident.
guys
Good or
in the
bad.
Cyberpunk game, I don't think you guys actually fought anything for a very long time.
It was a
Yeah,
very
it's
long
very
time
long
before we got into
and
a
then
fight.
if we
yeah.
did, it was like one little thing, and we all kind of were like, "Oh God, we're dying!"
Run away. You
Whereas-
got pinned down in a Denny's and
Yeah,
too many
really
neck
quick.
holes and
Yeah.
all that.
And we,
So many
but
neck
definitely, I mean, we've definitely had way more combat for sure. But I feel like, and it's kind of kicked our asses some. But I feel like I don't know. For
Well,
me
there's-
personally, I mean, that's what for Birna. She's like, oh, glory. Even if she dies in battle, then all the better, really.
And I
for
think
her, so.
that's the difference. Like, there's almost like an expectation of violence, of daily violence in like the Viking like time period that wasn't really present with the cyberpunk time period, because like you're not typically in an average human's day-to-day life going to get into as many like violent altercations in like a modern day world. Nick's instinct was always to run from fights, just because he wasn't
Right.
a fighter. I think the weapon I wielded most efficiently throughout the entire season of Cyberpunk Black Bag were coffee mugs. Like I got really lucky with a bunch of coffee mug throws in one episode. That was pretty much it. And then Grimir is also not a fighter, but as a to more specifically because in Viking times, like that's something that more people were, and I wanted to play a character that was physically unable to be, what he was supposed to be in that time period. So he doesn't get into violent stuff as much, but the rest of these guys like jump into things because that's just what you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a very different mindset, I think.
Yeah, because I think in the cyberpunk game, it was more we fought if we had to, and it was more as a defensive. It wasn't on the offensive.
Yeah, it was like we were fighting while we ran away.
Right,
like we're running
right. Just
in.
like
Yeah.
just to survive, you know.
Whereas-
Whereas with Vikings, we're looking for a fight in a lot of instances because we. It's honorable to die in battle. It's dishonorable to die elderly and in bed. You know, you'd much rather die in battle and have fought the good fight, even if you knew you were going to lose and everything like that. And so I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, I don't think Birna's going to end up driving in this one. I think that's Magnus.
Thank
What did he
God.
I'm sorry, Beer Nuts is not going to drive either because Beer Nuts, I feel like, is Birna's like weird twin sister.
We all know
I'm
that
beard nut.
Stephanie was the best driver. We all know Stephanie was the best driver.
Right.
Yes.
But like, well, you had like 41.
I had like a
Percent?
50-something
50.
drive, and you had like
I had 26.
26.
It was better than Evie. I'm just saying, she was a
but when
pilot.
Ben started Thad, he specifically gave Thad like a ton of driving, and then he never did. He
Never
Well, that's
No.
because he was too busy running into shopping malls and killing people because of the PTSD.
Yeah, he never really got to develop that as a three-dimensional character
Yeah.
because of the PTSD. It just
Right.
every time he's about to do something, it'd get triggered, and it was like,
Here we
Okay,
go.
Here we go. We're all on this ride together.
I think from the Cyberpunk games, the funniest Ben moment, we're talking as if he's died from eating too many hearts.
Yeah.
The funniest Ben moment was when he fell through the floor after getting tortured, and he landed on top of that guy.
Purposefully landed on top of that guy.
Purposely landed on top of the
Maneuvered
guy,
himself.
Yeah.
and then shoved his shitty toga in his face.
Yeah.
It was funny and horribly gross at the same time, but it really summed up Ben's
weird
character.
This is 7th, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, we're doing 7th
Seven.
edition.
How do you, so that's how we approach the differences in physical combat in that, but how do you as the GM approach it differently in Vikings was the other part of
Oh yeah.
this question.
Well, I mean, it's straight. It's funny that we're bringing this up because it's one of the things that will change a little bit from first to second season. There's in my plan, and of course it's always a plan because you never know, again, which way the wind's going to blow or which way the phrasing. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think that the combat was fun, but I think that in the second season we're going to kind of pull it back a little bit so there's not as much combat because I'm more interested in what frightens a Viking, what personal stories make Vikings scared, and combat isn't it, and neither is, oh, well, there's a fish creature. Well, okay, they're Vikings. They believe in this stuff. So how do you, as a storyteller, get them to be afraid of something? And I think that the answer to that is more cowbell would definitely be it, or something along
Cowbells
those
are
lines.
terrifying. for
They're
Vikings.
horrible.
Emotional
Specifically.
vulnerability for a
Soap.
Viking.
Soap might be
Soap
something
might
that
be
they're
it,
terrified.
but I think combat is just, I mean, it's the Dark Ages. It's integral to who they are as a society. So there's going to be battle, but I think that you're going to Goat Dad. Yeah, we have to talk about Goat Dad.
Yeah,
at some
Farquaad
point.
wants to
Well, there
know
was
if
a
Goat Dad is
question.
coming back.
Yeah, is
Yeah.
Goat Dad coming back the same way? Something different at all?
Well, I can't get into too much about Goat Dad because it's part of what's going to happen to
You'll
your
have to
character.
tune in to find out.
I think that here's the interesting thing about combat and the Viking belief system and everything else, though, that Goat Dad actually should be bringing up in people. If you don't go to Valhalla after you die and you come back as one of these horrible things that make no sense to you, that is central to the Viking religious experience. I mean, a lot of Vikings at the time period that we're at haven't converted yet. They're just starting to. And so a lot of them believe you should go to Valhalla. So here's a Jarl who died in battle, who was courageous, who did everything he was supposed to do, and then he comes back to life as this thing. And what does that mean for the entire, for the entire society?
Yeah, because that's right. He did I think that was the season finale when he physically erupted from my
He
chest.
physically
and,
erupted,
like,
yeah. Ripped you open your chest.
almost murdered me. So now he is no longer a spirit. He is a physical entity.
He's a physical being now.
Yeah.
But he's half goat, half man, half woman, and
He's three halves.
He's three halves.
He's 1.5
He's half
people. He's 1.5.
it's early
times a
and math
person.
is bad. He's 3/5 of a person and 2/5 a goat. Does that work?
I don't like the 3/5 analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
well, he's 2/3 a person
close to
and
slavery?
1/3
Yeah.
a goat, maybe.
2/3 a person, yeah. A
Okay.
third man, a third woman, and a
How about
Third goat.
That's
three
too simple.
eighths?
That's way too simple.
3/8 3/8 of a goat and 5
And 7/8 of us.
Seven
We're still at over one person.
Yeah.
He's more than a person, you guys.
That's what we're getting at, really.
Musically,
Something.
he'd be a triplet.
There you go.
There you go.
Yep. Continue.
That's where we are. That's where we are.
Okay, cool. Anything that prevents it, going into God's hall is terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say they're offering suggestions as to what might terrify a Viking, but I was going to say you did mention things like this is what they believe in, but I think also if say an angel came down to someone to someone who practiced Christianity or something, that would still be rather unsettling. I think.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
So I think you could you could play that stuff up still, and it
Oh,
would
yeah,
still,
definitely.
still make a.
I'm not necessarily saying that fish people wouldn't terrify a Viking. That's not. I'm just saying that they would get used to it a lot quicker than, say, a modern person.
They'd have an avenue to,
right.
to connect it to.
If you were raised to believe, if you're Christian and you believe in angels, and an angel came down, it might be frightening at first, but then you would probably be able to, on the uptake, deal with it.
Because you have an immediate explanation for
Right.
it. And I think part of the horror of Call of Cthulhu is often like you see these things and you have no explanation for what it is that you saw.
And then the explanation is terrifying.
Also not good.
When you
Yeah.
figure it out. Old edition.
And Vikings leaping from boats.
Yeah, we don't get very many classic magic items
No.
in Call of Cthulhu, right? We don't get rings of free movement or
Rings of free action, I think, or whatever. Yeah.
Where are our boots of leaping, Wes?
I know. Well, the dwarves are working on them,
Yeah,
slowly but surely.
Yeah, maybe a Patreon reward.
Oh, I think that when it comes to combat, it's funny because a lot of people who play Dungeons and Dragons who never play any other game system don't quite understand how deadly combat is in other systems. And I mean, you're running Savage Worlds right now. I've never run it before. Is combat as deadly?
Oh my God.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's crazy
Yeah.
deadly. Like
Yeah.
without the donations and stuff from chat that we get, it would be. And the same thing happens in Black Bag. There are I think
Oh,
each
yeah.
of us has died several times over,
we
but
should've,
because
yeah.
we've been in situations where we would be dead in the rules as written, but because of the donations that we get from chat, our characters were able to have a much longer lifespan than they might ordinarily have at the table.
Right.
Because Call of Cthulhu is a very deadly
Deadly
system.
system.
You either die or
well,
you lose your mind.
Yeah, you go insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so I think a lot of times when people think about combat and magic items and potions and all that stuff, it's really hard to kill a D&D character as opposed to any other system.
Yeah.
GURPS, which I love, I've played it a lot of times, is brutal. You have 10 hit points like in Call of Cthulhu, but the way that they've set it up is even more realistic. So if you get hit by a bullet, it can do a ton of damage and you're down, you're done. And there's no, and the thing is that even in this game, if you take damage, you have to, if it wasn't for rerolls and people buying stuff for you, you would have to literally be out of the game for months. Like, okay, 3 months later, your wounds are healed. Let's go out on a raiding party.
Right.
I broke my ankle. I'm down for 6 months. Well, I've gangrene. Whoops. Rolled the wrong thing. And that's something that I think there's not too many people get when they just play D&D. So
Yeah. No, that I think that's true. There's a lot in the system itself to really kind of screw you up.
Yeah.
yeah.
They're one of the things that they're talking about in chat, we can't scroll up there, but I can scroll here, is that the Christian notes that the underlying terror in Lovecraft's fiction is that life is meaningless.
Right.
And that DJ says the root of the horror in Call of Cthulhu being existential, so applying that to Viking culture, it's just a matter of uprooting their belief system as
Right.
opposed to ours.
Right.
It's the nihilism.
Yeah.
It's the total nihilism of just this.
Yeah.
Nothing you do matters, and that's.
Well,
It's a
and
different mindset for a game.
You have to wonder because, like, what a Viking would think, because in their belief system, yes, they believed in an afterlife, but ultimately they believed that it was all
Ragnarok
going
was
to
gonna
end. Yeah,
happen.
Ragnarok was going to happen, and even the gods would die, and so
They were a pessimistic bunch of people.
Oh yeah. But they did also believe in fighting the good fight, even if you knew you were going to lose. Even if you knew it was hopeless, you still fought. You know, because that meant to die with honor or what have you. And so I wonder what Vikings would think if they know it's all going to end anyway. So Lovecraft's universe, if that was ultimately revealed to them, would they be more okay with it than Judeo-Christian society?
Right.
Well,
You
is
know,
that the
I
way
mean,
that Lovecraft's universe is supposed to, like Cthulhu awakens, you know,
well, it
And things
doesn't
brunch.
end. Yeah,
Right.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't
Mimosas.
end. It's
Mimosas
it's just like an
and
eternity
people.
of like dark servitude toward
yeah. There's no
the
point when you die. It's blackness, and
Yeah.
that's it. And before that, it's just servitude to these beings. You have absolutely. There's no.
If I'm remembering
Control, there's-
correctly, like humans were created as almost a servitude race or something. I can't remember the story though.
Yeah, I mean, there's like the Migo and stuff, which are like
And then the elder ones.
then the
and-
elder ones, the elder things. Yeah, you get into a bunch of, especially if you get into like August Derleth and all,
Oh, yeah,
all
if-
the other like.
It's funny because the writers that came after Lovecraft, though they added a lot of cool things, you also have to be careful because you have to remember like what you consider canon. If you're just going strictly by Call of Cthulhu, by Lovecraft as canon only, that becomes you're going to limit yourself a lot because there's been so many good writers, but at the same time, you kind of have to wade through. There's like I think there was the idea that the gods were the elements that was put forward, where it's like Cthulhu was a water element and all this stuff, and that wasn't something I was really interested in as a player or GM. So, was there?
The other thing that they're discussing is the connection to Robert Howard and Conan and
Oh, yeah.
like Vikings and a Conan like Silmarillion. No. Conan.
Sumerian?
Can't help you.
No,
You'll get there.
no. I know. Chad's gonna say it in a second, but anyway, yeah. But basically, the ancient of Conan, who also, because of the connection between Lovecraft and Howard and all them, there was a Lovecraft connection between all those books and everything.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
And that you could potentially draw some Conan things into Vikings in a way to bring
Yeah.
that element in there.
well, and I think we already
Sumerian.
kind of have
Sumerian. Thank you.
Sumerian.
Yeah, Conan. Sumerian.
Yeah. And I think we already have, because in Conan there was a lot of the snake wizards from the south. And in the Vikings game, the two wizards you run into have been kind of sort of snake people. Conan, Howard and Lovecraft were friends. They wrote to each other a lot. Howard lived in Texas with his mother. It's an interesting story. He lived in Texas. He never left the small town he lived in. He never moved out of his house. He wrote tons and tons and tons of stories. Unlike H.P. Lovecraft, he was willing to take notes. So he got more work because people would say, okay, this is great, but here's what we want you to change. And he changed those things. And he had he would write stories back and forth with Lovecraft, a lot of letters. But unfortunately, when his mom died when he was 30, he couldn't take the loss, and he killed himself. And so it's one of those really tragic people and anytime he comes up, I think about like how, because he was I love Lovecraft, but Howard was an incredible writer, and you're reading just the visuals that he comes up with. So, sorry. Yeah. So I think that he.
Sympathetic.
I think that
There you go.
it's almost impossible to run Lovecraft in Vikings without having a little Conan in there as well.
So we don't have a ton of time left.
Oh,
so-
geez.
Oh, that went
Yeah,
fast.
it goes by fast. Well, we start a little bit late. We'll go a little bit later, but
Okay.
but we also have another show coming in, so we can't stay
That's
too
true.
late.
Yeah.
So why don't you guys just, if you've got questions, just go ahead and write them in there. We'll spend the next 10 or 15 minutes or so kind of setting up where season 2 is coming
Okay.
into play, and we'll
Yep.
talk about that. Then we'll answer questions, and then I'll talk about Patreon, and we'll talk future Patreon things.
Okay, cool. So my idea for where we're going to start, and this is just where we're going to start. We're actually going to start about 5 months into the future from where the battle ended. And the reason that I want to do this is because I want there to be a cool down time between the final battle with the fish people on the island and what's going on, now later in the season as winter is starting to approach, and you guys are going to be locked down. Winter's coming, and you're going to be locked down in wherever you guys decide to be locked down in. So that's where we're going to be starting with. I'm actually going to be doing something that's kind of a cardinal, like people like, oh, don't split the party. I think with Call of Cthulhu, though, it works well if you sometimes split the party and you allow the characters to be able to do their different storylines and then kind of bring them back together. We are going to be moving away from individual rewards as much, or individual perks and negatives. So instead of having, you get an advantage or a disadvantage, we're going to kind of be moving away from that, definitely. We're still going to be doing pushes and rerolls. It moves so quick. I'll look up and go.
White Walkers confirmed for Black Bag Vikings
Yeah.
too.
One thing that's definitely going to come up is the fact that, back to Goat Dad, you guys don't have a Jarl at this point. You were adopted. So
And his legitimate son was
died,
murdered.
Was murdered.
Yeah.
So you guys don't have a Jarl that's in control of that region. So that will come up, definitely. You're going to see more of just personal growth of each character as, as Brenda decides, there's the question of she's 17, she's taking kind of a leadership role, but she's also getting pressure to have kids because that was just part of what you would do. So there's going to be that story arc, and then your story arc of you're studying this book, so where will that take you? Ben's character Mangus is, has all these physical ailments now from taking these drugs and from changing so much. Where's that going to lead?
And eating elder thing hearts.
And eating
or,
elder thing hearts
whatever.
and all this horrible stuff. And I think with you, it's the matter of, being able to forge your own path. And is your character going to be able to step back enough from Brenna to let her make her decisions, or are you going to cripple her? So we'll see
As
how that all
any
goes.
good mother would.
Mothers.
I was telling Michelle because we were talking about how her character was going to kind of develop. And I said, if you could channel my grandmother, that would be the best way to go. Because my grandmother was the queen of the backhanded compliments.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Cool.
So yeah, but it works for their dynamic in the game. I don't recommend it when you're raising children, but
Sort of like
game-
your character from Noche's.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. And I was partially channeling her and partially channeling members of my family.
we all have members those
Yeah,
members of the
'cause,
family.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys got to watch it. When we did Noches de Pasión, right? I played the grandmother who was the matriarch of the family, and God, she was a bitch. She was so horrible, and everything was like, he'd be like, "Oh, grandmother, I love you," and it's like, "Oh, I have no patience for you. Go away," and stuff. But she would give a lot of backhanded compliments.
Well, and I don't think that your character would be that bad
No, this one was
Yeah.
This one was pretty bad, but
because it's a novella. It's even
Yeah.
worse. Everything has to be. I saw a 10-minute clip of some novella with this character, and all she was doing was slapping people in the face all the different times.
Yeah.
It was like, wow. How would your wrist be able to hold on to that after a while?
So if we're moving away from individual rewards, I saw this was a question. Are we moving towards a new reward structure that we're still figuring out? Is that the is
Well,
that the plan
yeah,
right now?
we're definitely going to have tiered story things that can happen. There's also NPCs, which I believe that Patreon backers can do. Is that right? Is that something that we can do? Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a few NPCs that can be added. In the past, that's been a lot of fun. Texas Devon was a NPC literally in the Cyberpunk game, and that was interesting and was fun.
That was fun.
He tried to murder us.
Yeah, good time was had.
All is forgiven.
Yeah, we love you though. So that kind of stuff is still in flux though. Like
Right.
we're still kind of nailing down.
We're nailing
what the
down
reward
that kind of
structure's gonna
stuff. I mean, we want to make it. We basically want to make it for a way to be, because when you guys donate, what you're doing is you're allowing us to continue to put on all these shows, and if we were a normal show, or if we were like on Geek and Sundry, they're backed by a large corporation. So even though they're taking donations, they still have a large corporation behind them.
Well, they don't really take donations, but yeah.
But I mean, it's
Yeah.
a different kind of structure. It's not that that's
Right.
wrong or anything, but it's a different setup. And so for us, your donations help us keep the lights on and keep things going. And so, and we enjoy having you guys be part of the game. We also want to make sure that you're getting the most story value. The one thing that I want to kind of structure with the new levels and story things is to be able to make sure that you guys get something really meaningful out of the game, and as well as the funny part. So it's not just, hey, remember Assless Chaps, it's also, remember that cool storyline we did, and we had that big arc, and we were all a part of it, and it was a lot of fun. I think that's where I'd like to try to move things, and I think we have slowly been doing that. So if we can, that's basically what I was thinking. So.
Yeah, cool. So one question, Xena had a question about going back to kind of D&D. Does Ravenloft campaign source material have any relevance to Black Bag, Call of Cthulhu?
Well, I think Ravenloft is like, it's hard because like 2nd edition Ravenloft had this big book that they put out, a hardcover. They took the box sets and they made a hardcover of it. And they put in SAN rules. And again, going back to D&D, it's very hard to do a horror game based on D&D. Ravenloft is a good example of that. When you're a paladin of 5th level and you can heal other people, it makes it very difficult. But Ravenloft is so based on Gothic horror that it's all part of the same thing. I use references from everywhere. I don't don't limit myself. I've been watching. I started watching Magnificent Seven and thinking about your game and, aspects of how, Deadlands is, and time period's irrelevant.
Deadlands is there's a lot of Cthulhu esque aspects in
Yeah,
Deadlands.
absolutely.
I think a lot of games borrow elements from Lovecraft.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think you can get away from
Yeah.
it. You
and
really
Fifth,
can't.
and Ravenloft is an awesome setting that definitely has things that you can kind of take from. But I think the thing that Ravenloft has that's like Lovecraft is you can't escape that plane.
Right.
Once you get sucked onto the demi plane of shadows, which I think I'm getting that right.
Yeah.
That's it. I think there's two things that can get you off of the plane, and that's it, and those are impossible to find. So I think the bleakness is definitely there.
Yeah, absolutely. Christian notes that the tier donations, and DJ as well, the tier donations seem to be working well in wildcards, and they like how it shapes the narrative in wildcards. So I think we have talked about this already, that we will be utilizing tiered donations for Black Bag Vikings as well, and they will have some story elements to them that will guide some certain things and stuff. It's a little bit more, I would say it's a little trickier maybe with Call of Cthulhu, because it's easy to kind of take it in an extreme direction and stuff like that. And you don't want to just like drop Cthulhu on. It's like
Game
all
over.
right, $500, Cthulhu shows up.
Cthulhu wakes up.
That's the series end.
Next
New
week-
characters.
Next
Right.
week we'll be playing a completely different game.
Just because I think sanity is so you're at a precipice the entire game, no matter where you are. You don't level up like you would in any normal game. So it's like,
Well, do we want to talk about the frights idea at all, or do we want to?
yeah, we
hammer
can
that out?
toss it out there and get their ideas. So sure.
So one idea that I was kind of playing around with was a frights donation level where it starts off low. It's like, and this is all stuff I came up with this morning that I've been talking with Dom and everybody about. Starts off at $5, and you pay that $5, and then a fright will happen. Something relatively minor at first, and then it doubles from that point up to a certain cap. We haven't decided what that cap is, so we'll leave that for later. So it'll go 5, 10, 20, whatever. And then it's at a certain point, sanity checks start happening. Now, one thing that we haven't decided on is whether or not it will be a table-wide thing where if you buy, Bryn a $10 fright, and then you would buy Michelle a $20 fright, because there's only so many frights that are going to happen in the game, or if it's going to be an individual thing where each person has a fright, which it would be, if Michelle's storyline, you want to really jack it up, you would do the frights more often. So we're trying to figure out what would work best for those kind of things. And then on top of that, we're going to have story points where what I was thinking was like really almost choose your own adventure kind of things, where if you pick this way, I'll have kind of a tree plot line thing going, which does make a little bit more work, but also gives Chad an opportunity to kind of be involved. So like, does Brenna run into Leaf, who she's interested in, or somebody else?
Or Derek.
Or Derek.
Who's interested in
I was
her,
actually
but-
thinking Sven.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Sven. Sven makes sense to me as a love interest. Says a name, Sven, who totally outclasses Leaf at every turn.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and how will those things go? So we have, those are our different tier levels that we were thinking, and they're going to be less combat oriented. Actually, they won't be really combat oriented at all. It'll allow, because combat's going to happen. So you'll be able to buy hit points and pushes and all that for combat. but it takes the focus off, us rolling through combat for 30 minutes, which
I think healing, we might make healing a little bit more difficult.
yeah.
Just because, like you guys say, it's making the PCs functionally immortal. I think when we started very, very beginning, and we considered, Tyler and I were talking about how we could utilize donations to make the game interactive and bring chat into it. We talked about healing, but it was always about losing my train of thought because I'm looking at chat at the same time.
It was about losing your train of thought.
Yeah, it's about losing your train of thought. But yeah, it was making it difficult to. We wanted the characters. That's where I was going. Thanks, guys. We wanted the characters to be longer lived because it makes for a more compelling story. If you're dying every session or whatever because you don't have any hit points or whatever, like, no one's ever going to get invested in the character. So we wanted to have a built-in way of keeping the characters alive. However, we're getting to the point now where we have enough people watching and stuff that we can pull that back again.
Yeah.
And if we limit heals and stuff like that, and the players take more of the healing agency, then it sort of balances itself out and it allows the story to kind of proceed.
I also think with, like, especially with kind of Call of Cthulhu, and it doesn't matter what era we play in, there almost should be a Game of Thrones vibe, which you never know who's going to die in that particular game.
Well, I mean,
Like,
I can tell you from, during the Cyberpunk one, there were at least 3 occasions where Stephanie should have died.
yeah.
She was there was one especially where she had broken both her legs and they would have had to drag her and this thing was coming and in all reality she would have died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, I love the characters as two. Like, I really enjoyed Nick. I really enjoyed Josie. Thad, not so much. We brought Tyler back. We brought, his or Terry. We brought Terry back, through the, time travel thing. But I have gotten the sense that more of a you never know who's going to die, at what point, and having a second character literally there. So it's like, oh, they're dead. We can bring in the second character, which is kind of what we did with Cyberpunk, but nobody ever got to that point.
Especially with a system like Call of Cthulhu, where you need to have that dread.
Yeah.
If everyone knows that I'm
You're
not
never
going to die,
right. Yeah.
like I couldn't possibly,
right?
Then you lose that, and so it's even more important for something like this. So that's definitely going to be.
So maybe heals will be more expensive, or maybe even not there, depending on what we talk about later.
Or limited in some way.
Limited
like
in some way.
At some point.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of different ways.
Or maybe a character gets taken out in a different way, where you've got your combat, you go through a horrible thing, you get PTSD, and that character is still alive somewhere, but is not part of the game for a certain amount of time.
Sort of what happened to Josie.
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
timeline.
kind of, yeah.
She didn't die. She just the timeline
And
changed.
Nick didn't die either.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm in a timeless
So-
void with. I'm in hell.
And I don't know with 7th edition because I'm not as I've been playing it, but I haven't read it.
Right.
I did not do my due diligence, but I know in previous editions, if a character went insane, you could send the character off to a sanatorium.
Right.
Right.
Until for a specified period of time they would
get
their
and
sanity back.
7th edition has ways for players to get sanity back, but they're all time sensitive.
Yeah.
We could build that into the series, story narrative where it's like, one episode is, here, and then the next episode is 6 months in the future, and you guys get a little bit of sanity back.
Yeah.
Also another thing that I'm going to be doing is piling on Cthulhu Mythos knowledge, which is something I didn't do in the Cyberpunk one. But I think it's important because it's a counterbalance to the sanity. It means that you can't completely peg that back up, and it's going to happen to you the fastest because you're studying the
actively
stuff,
going after it. Yeah.
and they're going to pick up knowledge as it goes along too. So
I just want to wrap up this discussion really quick, and then if you guys need to take off or whatever, feel free. But you're welcome to stick around too. Yeah. So basically, I think healing. If healing is just made more difficult or is limited in some way,
Yeah.
I think folks are on board with that. There will not be adding bad guys or adding good guys to a fight anymore. I don't
no,
think.
yeah, we're taking that out.
And Christian was saying in the sense of like the tier donations and stuff, basically giving sort of 5 different directions, or
Right.
potential levels of despair that the session or even the season could go down, and have that as an option. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mentioned a
Seasonal goal.
season goal for reward, which I think is an interesting
Yeah.
idea too.
That is interesting.
I think all the streams are kind of in the process of sort of rethinking the way that we approach donations and how they affect the table and the game. So like, there's definitely gonna be, and yeah, keep those ideas coming because a lot of that stuff's really great.
Yeah.
I think just on every show, like everyone's kind of like trying to take a more individualized approach to the show that fits their game system and their
Right,
table
right.
in a more tailored way.
What works for D&D won't work for
We were
Shadowrun or whatever.
Yeah.
when we started, and again, it's as we grow, and we always knew that the rewards would have to shift as the channel grew because it was just going to get imbalanced. But as we're growing, we're figuring these things out, and before we had things where the heals would be $1 across the board, so every show it would only cost $1 to heal everything. Well, Wildcards you've only got 3 hit points really, four before you're gone.
That would ruin the point of the
yeah.
Savage World system
Yeah.
if it was $1 per heal.
Yeah,
It'd be like,
and Call of Cthulhu, you got 10
Yeah.
hit points. It's whereas D&D, you're a 5th level character, you've got like 60. So it's like it makes a little bit more sense to go lower. So the price points are going to be changing. So things like that, and they'll be different, but it will be more appropriate for the system, I think. Let's see. Could you plot out a map so the tier hit each night affects what's available next week?
Yeah, and I think that's important. And we kind of ran into that with the first, at the end of last season, where there were tier points that were left on the table from one game, and we weren't really sure, well, do we carry that over to the next game? And I don't see why that couldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
Where we had different plot points that could happen, and then if it didn't get hit, it just means more book work for you, behind the thing.
And you too, because you have to figure out where things what would potentially open up the week after.
Yeah, and I think that with that in particular, if a plot point doesn't get hit and it no longer makes sense, then I think it would disappear and get replaced by something else. If it's still something that's can be applied, then yeah, definitely. Right. So.
Cool. Just that's a merch question, but you guys, don't need to be here for that if you don't want to. So anyway, if there's no other questions, you guys have anything else you want to add? So June 16th.
Yeah, we're starting up June 16th.
Black Bags Vikings Season 2, a.k.a. Black Bags Season 5.
Right.
Is it 5? Yeah, it's Black Bag 5 already.
Wow.
Yeah, this, we're actually almost at our year anniversary. I think we might have passed it.
We passed it.
We passed
April.
It was in April.
April.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because all your friends things
Popped
like
up.
Ben, yeah.
Yep.
So Black Bag's been going on for a year. It's one of the old hands now.
Yeah. And I think, and the thing is that each, like I said, we'll probably do 2 to 3 seasons of Vikings, and then we'll switch again to another time period and do something different. But yeah, I'm excited to get back, and we'll be doing. We would have started earlier. We had mentioned we're going to start earlier, but Michelle and I are moving apartments, which is always fun. And Jordan has been nice enough to extend. That was my phone. To extend his run of wild cards for 3 extra weeks, which I appreciate a great deal. Yeah, I think that's about it for us.
Cool.
And we might sneak out.
Yeah.
Because we have to get back and show the apartment for new renters.
Great.
Awesome.
Enjoy.
So thank you guys so much for watching. We really
guys.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
He's going to talk more about merch and things like that. And we hope to see you on the 16th. So
Yeah. Cool.
see you guys later.
Thank you, Otis's.
Don't forget your microphone, Michelle.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna
Take
walk
it
up
with
that.
you.
Yeah.
Walk out and take everything else with you. Oh,
And yeah.
And your jacket and stuff.
Your stuff.
Umbrella.
there you go.
All the things.
All the stuff. Because it's raining in LA.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Kind of. It's misting lightly.
Yeah.
That is raining in LA.
Yeah.
It's picking up a
heavy
little
mist.
bit.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys later.
See you guys.
It's gonna make
All
these
right,
parties
bye.
hard.
We'll hang out so you're not totally alone here.
Oh. It's okay. Just wait a half an hour and Wolfman will get here.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Let me switch over to.
You're done. Oh, you're moving over here.
Yeah.
I was like,
Should I
why are you
move
taking
over
your
there?
mic off?
Is our table unbalanced?
Yeah.
Shoot. Oh, yeah, we'll see.
Whatever.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
Just stay there.
Visual symmetry.
Okay.
Seas.
So thanks again for joining us for this Patreon chat. I want to say this is going to be the last Patreon chat that's available for all Patreon backers. So moving forward, we're going to be offering these little fireside chats for backers at the $5 level and up. So if you, and I know a lot of you guys are $5 and up, but if you're not and you're interested in some of the things that we're talking about here, we have a lot of stuff on tap for you guys. A lot of cool little like tutorial things and game things. We're going to be doing more discussions about games with the GMs and things like that. So behind the scenes stuff we're going to cover, but I just want to give you a heads up that that's happening in the future. We also intend to be doing more of these, so more than once a month, like maybe twice a month or something like that. We'll see, depending on schedules, but we're going to try and do that. See you later, Devin. Have a good barbecue.
Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Karen says, Megan, quick, take Michelle's seat.
Oh, it's too late.
Am I taking over for Dr. Diablo on couples therapy?
Well, I mean, it is a good question.
Yeah.
We did finish Diablo, so I mean, it doesn't make
Oh.
sense for Dr. Diablo to be around anymore. We'll have to figure that out.
Hey couple, what you doing? Yes, the Patreon page. So the Patreon page is getting updated. We will be making new goals and new things for the various reward tiers. A lot of it is super old, as you guys know, and it still references Barky and all these other things.
Dark Sun.
And Dark Sun. Yeah, we want to bring it into the future and be a little bit more enticing, hopefully for new people. But yeah, that's sort of been a push for us the last couple of months, is to sort of update that page and get things going a little bit more. Oh, you guys got Christian to start playing Diablo 3.
Yay! Hope you're enjoying it, Christian.
Oh yeah, Xenar. Well, right. But if you are
Oh.
a $5 backer or higher, these the VODs will be available to you. You'll still be able to come back and watch them. These aren't going to be lost in the ether forever. They will be available for you to rewatch. So.
And the hope too is to build a
Library.
building library of things, because like Dom was saying, some of the stuff is going to be people kind of taking a more direct tutorial approach to certain things, or like talking in specifics about different aspects of different games. So
Yeah, exactly. I think some of the did we never really decided on the next
option
one.
we decided on 3 choices I
Okay.
think to see, and then we wanted suggestions, and I'll pull
Yeah,
it
so
up here.
let me first off say that if you guys have ideas of things you'd love to see us talk about here, by all means. I mean, this is for you guys. This is something we want to have. It's always been important to me to have an interaction with the people who watch our shows, and so this is just another aspect of that. And you guys, because you guys are supporting us monthly, regular basis things, we really want to provide some cool things for you. So if you have ideas of stuff you'd like us to talk about in these fireside chats, definitely let us know.
We've got so what we're wanting to do is we've talked with the Saving Throw group to get some ideas on things that maybe you guys would be interested in. But so we wanted to bring some of these ideas to you and let you kind of choose which one you're more interested in. And the 3 that we kind of were looking at was another cast chat like this. Any cast, of course, that's going to be dependent upon their schedule. But if there's one in particular that you all would be interested in, let us know if that's something you want to see more of. And the other one was David actually talking a little bit more about, it was the Star Wars system, right? It was just because I think what you had said is some people were saying they wanted more information on how it works because it is a really different kind of system. You use a different die. It's really interesting. So that was an option. And then I think the other one, I'm trying to remember, I think it was actually, there had been some requests to have Jordan talk about running roll for shoes. So those were some suggestions. I mean, we're I think trying to figure out sort of what kind of videos we want to bring to you all, the Patreon backers, and what you're interested in. So if those don't sound interesting or you have other ideas, please let us know. We really want to make it something for you guys.
Yep, exactly. And we're going to collect all these inside a playlist, so it should be easy for you, Farquaad, to send out links and stuff like that, and for people to find as you go down. We have had requests for David. We have the dice tutorial, but have had requests for more of those more Star Wars stuff to go on, because there's always questions about how that exactly functions. And David does it different than a lot of other games. It's not necessarily, a lot of our GMs don't necessarily follow things as written, but we would love the opportunity to discuss how that actually functions. Wildcards Fireside Chat, I think that will probably happen at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
definitely.
I'd love to do that.
That'd be great.
And yeah, Dark Sun one-off would be great if we can bring some people back. Eric would probably be down to run something. I'd love Sean to come back, but he only comes back every once in a while.
He's got like a life now.
Fleeting into the wind.
Yeah.
What a jerk.
How to play videos are a great idea. There are so many RPGs, and introducing players on how to play is an opening for a niche. Yep. Yeah, we do intend on doing more of those. They may not be Patreon things, though, specifically. We're trying to do more of those for the general public. So we may do it for Patreon first and then release it for the greater public, but something along those lines. Shadow of the Demon Lord, Christian, you might be interested. I think Michael has run Shadow of the Demon Lord for us a couple of times, I think now, or at least once.
At least once.
He ran it once, but I think he's planning on running it again in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe for an RPG ES or something like that. Michael Holmes has quite an affinity for that system, so I think you can definitely safely assume you'll see some more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll lure Sean back with Heroes of the Storm. Yeah, I don't know. That might work. Maybe.
We'll try it.
A rundown for Savage Worlds would be dope. Yep, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I don't know. The other thing we're trying to balance is where in the timeline. We were thinking of doing a Wildcards one before, but then it became, we thought we were past the halfway point, and then because of the Wes's moving situation and stuff, we extended the season, and then it was too late. We scheduled other things and stuff like that. So I don't know if we'll get to a Wildcards thing before the season is over. I'm not sure. Maybe
Unless we did an extra one this month.
Yeah, I mean, we could look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
any surprise guests and or more new system one-offs on the cards? Well, yes. Every Monday we have the roleplay RPG Exploration Society.
Yeah.
And those are almost always one-offs.
Yeah.
And we also have another Dinner and Dragons coming up.
Yeah, RPGES is going to, now that it's not alternating with Monday Night Dungeon Fight on Mondays, it's going to be pretty much every Monday and maybe even some other nights during the week when we have off nights for other shows. So that's always going to be new systems, or as we go on, we might continue to play with the format of it. We might have like a mini campaign that runs like maybe 2 or 3 consecutive RPGESs where people can like try something a little bit longer form, but that one's always going to be kind of an experimental place. So Monday nights are a great place to tune in to see new systems in play or see old systems being played in a new way. So definitely, yeah, that's the place to see that.
Yeah. I don't know if we're gonna tackle a new long-running show at this point. We do have an opening on Tuesdays, but we're also David has been doing gangbusters with finding Kickstarters and stuff. So that's going to get folded into RPG Exploration Society. So we're going to be doing more of those, and like Jordan said, throughout the week. So Mondays and Tuesdays we'll probably be filling up a little bit with some RPGES action and covering those Kickstarter games. We did play Gumshoe though.
Wes ran it during
during a marathon, right?
No, it was a one-off
It was a black-
instead of Black Bag.
That was the Fear itself one, or no, right?
It was.
Wasn't it?
I don't remember what. I think so.
I mean,
think so.
it was Gumshoe. Gumshoe's the one that has like, here's this, like the X-Filesy one. Here's
Right.
the whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
then that's what it was.
Yeah. So we have done some Gumshoe just once though, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm sure we'll do more of that in the future. But yeah, if there's games that you want to see us play more of and things like that, definitely shoot us a line, and we'll throw it into the schedule. We'll see if someone wants to run it. I think we're booked out through June, maybe something like that, or into June. So we definitely have a growing list of things that we're going to be running for RPGES. But yeah, lots of stuff coming down the pipeline for that. So let me see. Just to recap, these Fireside Chats moving to $5 and more backers. So if you are not a $5 a month backer and you are keen on watching these and checking them out, consider bumping up, or you don't have to. It's completely up to you. But we hope to be offering these and more of these as the time goes on, and I hope that you'll find some use out of them. And then we're updating the Patreon page entirely. Hopefully, some new graphics, new videos, things along those lines, and you'll see new goals and reward tier options and things like that. So that's going to be changing a lot. We're doing our best to not change anything that essentially was promised beforehand. So we're trying to be very careful in either grandfathering people into new things or making it very clear what is getting changed. Because I realized that when we started it, there were a lot of things that we put on there that we thought, oh, this will be easy, and then suddenly we have an influx of backers, or we have an influx of shows and things like that, and it makes it more difficult for us to tackle some of the things that we wanted to do. So we're trying to take a more reasoned approach to these things so that we are actually accomplishing a lot of these goals that we want to do. So far, it's been working pretty well. We have we got the website out and stuff like that, but there's still things like podcast versions and stuff of the shows, which was a goal that we had that we have been semi-working on, but it's been difficult.
It's ended up being a lot harder to implement than I think anybody realized.
Yeah.
So that's all that kind of stuff is part of like our growth process. We're continuing to develop and try and evolve and figure out new ways to bring content to you guys. And I think that's going to continue to change as we go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as Wes sort of pointed out, we're just a little mom and pop operation. So a lot of us have day jobs, and so we're still trying to figure out that work-life balance of getting these things done and out there. And so the more people are supporting us on Patreon and through donations and other means, the more it allows us to open up and eventually, hopefully get us out of our day jobs and into doing this full time, because I think a lot of us would love to do that.
Oh my God, we'd love to do that.
so much fun.
So hard. If I can get somebody interested in coming and playing a game with you guys, would say a Roll for Shoes game be what I should talk to them about? AKA, what would be a good game for a newbie? Says Faquan.
I mean, I definitely think Roll for Shoes is one of the most newbie-friendly systems that we play.
Oh, like to watch? Is that what?
No, with like
guess
guests
playing
coming on
game.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think it depends.
Yeah, I think Roll for Shoes is definitely the easiest game to grasp, but it's also one of the hardest games to play
That's
well.
True. That's
Yes,
true.
I would definitely agree. And it's. I mean, it depends on what. I mean, it depends on your focus, because like there's not a whole lot of like, there's not really combat. There's not a lot of rolling in it. It's essentially improv in a lot of ways. So that can be more challenging than sometimes sitting down and dealing with dice and combat.
Right.
I think it just depends on the person, and yeah, I agree. I think it can be one of the harder games to play.
Yeah, but I think the Roll for Shoes, anything that we do with the RPG Exploration Society is meant to be I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it's a teaching stream, but it is meant to introduce systems to people. So there is a bit more of a instruction period for them.
It's an ambassador stream.
Yes. So anything in there is going to be okay. Not that the systems are necessarily going to be simple to pick up and learn or anything like that, but those would be easier to implement a guest into than some of our longer term streams.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me know. Our Saturday is going to go back to 2 shows in the future? No, I don't think so. It's just too difficult to require people to get here at 5 o'clock on a Saturday night. It was really hard on people's schedules and people's lives to maintain that, and I'm happy with having one show there and a Patreon chat every once in a while. So, but after 3:30, it's just hard. It's just really slammed right in the middle of the day. You can't really get anything done.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably no more 2 shows. And honestly, extending any more shows than we do. We have 6 shows a week basically. When Tuesday is full. So doing any more than that is currently impossible.
Yeah.
So
One day, maybe.
again, we'd love to do more, but it's going to be a considerable bump for us to get to that point. Yeah, DJ, exactly. You got to be pretty quick on your feet with Roll for Shoes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's about it. If you got the next 5 minutes, if you guys have any questions about Patreon, how things are going with that, or any other questions, we'll even entertain 1 or 2 wild cards questions or something if you have them. But we're not going to get too deep into anything beyond Patreon, I think, right now. So yeah, just a couple minutes, and we'll round it out. Like 11:25, so I don't know. That's 3 more minutes, I guess.
So are we wanting them to pick between the 3 options that you guys
Yeah.
put up for the next chat?
Yeah, if you want to, Megan, if you can reiterate those 3 options.
It was another cast chat, and if you have a specific show that you would like to see, let us know. It was David talking about the Star Wars system. It was Jordan talking about how to roll for shoes, or suggest something else, because we're definitely. These are for you guys, and I think we sort of discussed doing tutorials on how to play a game might be more beneficial to put out for everybody,
me talking about
as
running Roll for
opposed to putting out on our YouTube page, as opposed to just being for Patreon. So we're trying to balance that out a little bit as well, and I mean, it's helpful since it's for you guys to know what you want for us to devise that, basically. So yeah, that's what I say.
Cool, and I'm throwing up a...
Christian.
Oh, Christian, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Sorry to hear that. No worries.
Yeah, no worries at all. Honestly, the fact that you had even done the 2 issues of the Coldwater Harbinger that you did were really great. So we obviously we appreciate that very much, and yeah, don't even worry about that. And condolences on
Yeah.
the passing of
Yeah.
your grandmother as
It's
well.
tough.
That's super tough. Yeah, website is coming along. I think I figured out the video thing, so we got that going on now, and we're going to get more images and stuff up for each of those pages. So that's great, and hopefully more fan stuff, fan art, all that sort of
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
We
We
love.
welcome it. Yeah,
do. It's
yeah,
fun.
we really appreciate seeing what resonates with you guys,
Yeah.
and being able to share, the things that you're excited about with the other people who watch the show. So yeah, we definitely appreciate any kind of fan works like that.
Right. Yeah, Farquaad, if you want to reach out to people, go for it. We'll see what they say. Sure. The straw poll is up, so go ahead and send your notes or send your thoughts as to what we go to next. Seems pretty overwhelming so far, but we'll continue that road.
Yes.
Stick
more
figures
stick
are more than
figures.
okay.
Yeah, stick
Send
figures.
us your stick figures.
Yeah. Pretty much the only fan art we have right now is stuff that other cast members have made.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
we've
funny.
we've gotten a few. Lift the Game has sent us some stuff, and we had some fan art for Misadventures that was made, and yeah, but we'd love to see more things like that in the future. Cool. Well, we got to get packed up out of here because Phoenix Dawn Command starts in about an hour, so definitely stick around for that. I got to make sure that the technical stuff is working for them, like it wasn't working for me earlier when I got here. All those computers that love to just shut off in the middle of the night.
You do that.
Oh,
That's true.
Jody does really cool stuff, Christian. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and we should take
Oh,
a
yeah.
picture of the Kiganis banner and put it up on the site too.
Oh man, yeah.
that counts as fan art for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
The only reason we took it down is because Tyler got so mad.
Tyler. Guys, next straw poll. Should I get rid of Tyler? Just let
Should
me
we
know.
unfollow Tyler?
Yeah.
Should we? From our lives?
Yeah.
From everything.
What's the word on Mason running something? I don't know. Hopefully soon. We're talking about it. He's probably going to be running something, I think, for RPG Exploration Society. But in terms of
Eventually, I think everyone on the channel is going
Yeah,
to run
everyone-
something for RPG Exploration
everyone
Society.
has an idea. Everyone wants to run something.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to happen. In terms of a longer term show, there's no plans at the moment. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Anyway, thanks again, you guys, for joining us.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fun, and it looks like the next Fireside Chat may be a cast chat. But I'll
Cool.
throw this over to Patreon, and we'll let this simmer for about a week or so, and then we'll let you guys know what the next thing is going to be. But right now, it's overwhelmingly another cast chat.
Cool. Good to know.
So we will, we'll end it there. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your support. It really does
Yeah.
mean a lot to us.
It
It
does.
helps us pay our rent, and it helps us
Yes.
upgrade our equipment and keep things running, get that website up to date, all those things, and bring more stuff and more content to you. So thank you so much. You're an integral part of everything that we do here. So I really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you on the next show, and stick around for Phoenix Dawn Command.
Coming up in an hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now it's the awkward moment where I run over to the other computer to stop the stream. So
All right, yeah. Take your mic off.
yeah,
We should stare awkwardly at the camera.
Yeah,
while
we'll
he
just
does that.
kind of.
I'm just gonna. I'll just be over
I don't
here.
know where to put my hand.
Let me
hold-
put this.
Here, can I have that water bottle? Because I don't know what to do with my hands.
I'm gonna like, maybe I'll do this. I think this is what humans do, right?
Oh wait, you know what? I figured out I could do it here.
Wow. Okay, hold on. Back to awkward.
Hey guys,
I'll hold this too.
and